Hello and welcome, my name's Rain and this is my craft channel. This week we're going to be working on a carrot patterned money wallet, and although I'm not 100% convinced that the pattern worked, you can tell me if you think it did in the end. Here's all the different materials I used. Now this will be very similar to the Love Heart wallet we've done, but of course I changed the pattern around and designed a new one using carrots to give it a little bit of an Easter theme, with that being just around the corner. And as last time, here's one I made earlier. Let's get into it. I'm just starting off blocking out the carrots and filling those in. And this pattern can be made as big or as small as you wish to use it. I tried to design it so that it would be a repeating pattern, so if you did have a bigger project you wish to use this on, it would work too. Now we're going to fly through the next bit. You get the idea, you just keep on making those cross stitches and building up the pattern onto the fluffy part of the carrot, which I must admit becomes a lot less fluffier the further we go on, but still it was a nice colour. I then chose a blue and white checkered background, thinking that the blue would be a good contrast for the orange. Now at this point in my previous video, I advised you to sew the zip onto the felt to give it a bit more integrity. I thought I'd try Wonderweb this time. I wanted a quickest, easiest solution, and it actually worked. It worked better than the glue, there was no clumping, no pulling away, and it does what we need for this sort of project, so this is definitely the way forward. And after all that's been ironed on and they're secured to the felt for the inside, we're going to move on to making the backs of those projects nice and soaked in some glue. Now, it doesn't really matter what glue you use for this. I'm using Mod Podge. I have in the past used a thicker PVA glue and it did work a bit better. This will work, but it's going to need a longer drying time, which I later find out in the morning and realised I needed to leave it another 24 hours before I could do anything else. It's me just lining up that as close as I can to the zip with the zip facing upwards. These will eventually be bent round and sewed together, but we want to try and get them as equal as possible here, just to save any stress a bit later on. Don't forget to leave a little loop of ribbon there in between the two layers, just so we can attach a chain later on. Of course, leave overnight or until the glue is completely dried. Now I didn't have a chain or I didn't like any ribbons that I thought would match with this wallet, so I decided to make my own little one in some neon green string that I had. This is just a pretty basic rope tying method, friendship bracelet, whatever you want to call it. Now if you wanted a little bit more of a detailed look at how I do this, then that's something I can look at in the future, but for now it was just a little add-on to this craft. Here's the dry project with all the felt trimmed, and here's a quick look at the back, and here's a close-up of the stitch that I started to use to sew it all together. Now again, excuse me with these camera angles here, they're a little all over the place. I will definitely try to work on it each week, and eventually you might even be able to get to see me do these crafts on camera with a lot better angles than what I'm achieving at the moment. So yeah, apologies with that again. Probably enough to give you a general idea of what needs to be done here though, and just basically sewing the two halves together. There we go, all complete and sewn together. Now I go on to carry on making the rest of this rope that's going to hold onto the side. Just tying it together. I had a couple of beads there that I thought would match, I put them on as well. When I get to the ends of this, I just cut the excess string off and tuck the black bits up into the beads there to keep them secure. And there we have it, a chain, a wallet, and some little charms that I found to go with it. I quite liked the clock that I had there, giving White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland vibes, so I felt it needed to go on. And there you have it, a carrot themed money wallet ready in time for Easter. My craft gremlins were hungry, and this week I served them carrots. They seemed satisfied, for now. Thank you so much for making it to the end. I have been Rain, you have been fabulous, and I hope to catch you next week with another craft. Take care now. Bye-bye. Before I go, did you think that this carrot pattern worked, or do they just look like little orange rockets with green fire? I'm not too sure. Leave your comments and suggestions below.